Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Innovation Collective Fireside Chat. I'm so happy to have all of you here. So a lot of your faces I recognize from Coffee and Concepts, which happens the first and third Wednesday of every month, as well as from being out in the community. Our story summit that we had, we're going to have another one at the end of July. And we also have these fireside chats, and I recognize a lot of faces from that as well. So to all of my people that have come before, good to see you and have you back. And all of the new faces, welcome. Really excited to have all of you here. So how I usually start these out is I bring a couple of people local from the community that are doing entrepreneurial, exciting things to highlight them so you'll know about their business and what they're doing and what they're working on. So my first guest, if you could introduce yourself to everybody, and then if you could just tell a little bit about your story of how you became an entrepreneur and tell them what you do and how they can find you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Shayla Solis. I am a seamstress and a fashion designer. So I have my own clothing line, and then I also do personalized gifts like bears, pillows, and blankets. I'm located in Port Lavaca, and I've always been into clothes and fashion and sewing. It's definitely my passion for sure. But once COVID hit, I lost my job. I was a probation officer, and I do have my degree in psychology and everything. I did the whole 9 yards. I went to school, but I didn't have a job, and I love sewing, and I started making masks, for, because of COVID and stuff, and I started making money off of it. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go full force and start a business, and so that's what I'm doing now. So you can check out my website, ShaylaAbigail.com, and that's where I do all my clothes, and then I have another one that's giftamemory.com, and that's where I do all the bears and pillows and blankets.
Thank you so much, and I love her entrepreneurial spirit. I love that she took losing her job, and she got that stimulus money, and she's like, you know what? I'm going to take this and buy some sewing machines, and I'm going to create my own company. And to me, that's really amazing to see someone with that foresight to do that. And she really wants to be in Victoria more. She's going to be doing a haute couture fashion show that's coming up in August. And be on the lookout for her in local boutiques because her brand is really blowing up, and I'm excited to have her as part of Innovation Collective. So if these two could please come on the stage. They are local business owners of PostNet. They're working on some really innovative things, but their company also does things that a few companies don't in town. So I want to highlight them as local entrepreneurs.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dorothy Wood, owner of PostNet and substitute teacher at Victoria West, and that's how I met.
It's okay. She gets nervous, it's okay. So I met her at West High School when I was speaking to the local students about entrepreneurship. And she happened to be in the crowd. We talked in between after the first time I spoke, and she was telling me, oh, I actually am an entrepreneur. I own a company. And that was so helpful because as soon as she told me that after we chatted for a little bit, I told all the students, I said, guess what, guys? Your substitute teacher, bet you think that's all she does, right? Like this is just her thing. And they were like, yeah, what else would she do? I'm like, did you know she owns a company here in town? They're like, what? She does something besides substituting? So that was really amazing for me to be able to point that out, and it got their mind thinking in a different way, that they can't just judge somebody based on what they see them doing, that they need to dig deeper and dig further to learn about people in our community and what they may be doing. So I really appreciated her being there that day because it helped spark something within those children. And we actually have a mom of one of the kids, a guy that came up on stage the last time. She's back there, hi. So, it's really amazing how all of this works, and she has passion for the community. That's why she does substitute teaching, because she really wants to impact kids' lives. And she runs a full-time business, so that's really amazing. And now back to you.
Okay. We have been married 36 years, and he was a geologist before we started PostNet, and I was an educator. I was a teacher. And when he got let go, we had gotten transferred to Midland, Texas. Has anybody been to Midland, Texas? Is it gorgeous? It's just beautiful up there. Yeah. When he got let go, he came home and told me all with a sad face. I was like, yes, we're going home. So we came home, and we sat around for a year trying to decide what we're going to do. Am I going to go back to teaching? Is he going to keep doing geology work? And we got tired of the up and down the oil field business because we all know how that goes. And we've been doing it for how long?
Oh, 4 years.
No.
4 years we've been,
No, geology.
oh, the geology, that was 20 years.
Yeah, of up and down.
Yeah.
So we decided, we researched.
Something different.
We just started doing research. We looked at different franchises, and we came up with PostNet. And we've been doing this for 4 years now, and we have fun doing it, but I want to make it grow. I want to be able to hire more staff and give back to our community more and just make Victoria grow. So what we do offer almost any kind of printing. I believe we're the only company in town that can print white, which means if you have a dark blue background or a gray background or any color background that does not have color to it or too much color where you can't see the wording, we can print on that, and you'll be able to see your lettering and stuff. And he can tell you more about the print than I can.
Yeah, mainly the white is so if you've got a clear background you want to print on, mainly for adhesives or something, we can print the white on that. A lot of people want it for decals and things, and it's a good mask to put on the back so that way you don't see through it, just so it stays a little translucent, not so opaque. But yeah, we had a salesman who sold us on it, and we thought it'd be something good for the area so people aren't waiting days or weeks for their product that they're wanting. But yeah, it's been fun. We enjoy all our customers who come in. If we can't have fun when they come in and visit with them a little bit, it's not worth doing. But yeah, we have a lot of fun with it.
If y'all ever go through the Prosperity Bank on, is it John Stockbauer?
Yeah, exactly.
Zach Lentz, you will see some of our work there. Their windows, we did through their drive-through windows, we did those windows for them. So, and now we're going to possibly be doing a hotel in Corpus and putting the same vinyl technique with a design, like a beach scene design on it, and doing all their windows in their hotel. So we're hoping to get that done. But yeah, come on in and visit us, and we can sit down and visit and have coffee. I can talk your ear off. So just come on in, and we'll have a good old time. So as long as, and we'll work too, but yeah.
Thank you so much, and thank you for caring about the future of our community and the children here. I really do appreciate that and giving back to the local community, and excited to have you here as a business.
That's our future.
Yes, it is. So now I would like to introduce our Fireside Chat speaker tonight, Kenny French. And I have been waiting for this because he is so innovative. He really gets entrepreneurship. He goes to lots of mastermind groups, and I have been so excited to interview him and to pick his brain a little bit. So as excited as all of you are, trust me, I cannot wait. He was like, do you want to see my answers ahead of time? I said, no, because I want to be excited and ask the questions the audience is thinking. So get ready. It's going to be good. So welcome.
I think about the oil business. That's when I became a financial advisor when I left the oil business back 27 years ago after several up and downs and moving Teresa French several places. We decided to come to Victoria at that time.
It's amazing all the connections, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start out this chat by just asking you some background questions. Where did you grow up, and what kind of family did you come from?
So I grew up about 25 miles from South Bend, Indiana. I went to high school in Michigan. I was thinking about this question, Chris, and I was thinking about my father. Growing up, my father always had at least 2 jobs, and he was a very hard worker. I don't believe he made more than $12,000 to $15,000 a year. And through those 2 jobs. But what he instilled in us, all of my brothers and sisters, I'm the oldest of 7, is that hard work is very, very important.
And you have a great work ethic. I see how hard you work and how much you care for your employees. So it's really great that that's been passed down from your father to you, because I really do see that. And so did you go to college, and would you go to college again?
So I had such good grades when I moved to Texas. I got into Kilgore Junior College. I got an associate's degree in petroleum technology, and I went to work for Sun Oil Company. And as I worked for them for about 4 or 5 years, and then decided to go back to school at night. And I got a 4-year degree from Tarleton State University. But what's more important about that is that I did it at night, and I would leave. I would come in I was a lease operator for an oil company. I would come in about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, change my clothes, drive from Eastland to Stephenville, which is about 40 miles, and then take my classes and come home. We had 3 children at that time. Wow. And Mrs. French, Teresa French, pretty much took care of those children. That name should have her name on it instead of mine, because she really did take care of the family and allowed me to get my education to create some more opportunities for our family.
Way to go. Everyone just give her a round of applause. So what would you consider your first job? I know that you just talked about the oil company, but what would you consider your first job? Would it be that, or would it be something else?
Well, I told you that I grew up pretty close to South Bend, Indiana. So my first job, I was 9 years old, and I got a paper route. And I delivered papers for the South Bend Tribune. And it's interesting. So when you delivered papers, you'd go around and make your collections from my clients, right? And then I have to pay my paper bill. So I'd pay my paper bill, and I'd save $2 every week into this savings plan that they had. So started saving kind of early. And the reason why I did that is I took the summers off. I didn't work during the summers, but I used up all my saving. In Michigan, in the summers, you want to have a lot of time off because the winters are brutal, right? And I always, every 6 months or so, we'd have a rally or a subscription. What would you try to get more people to subscribe to the papers? And I know my presentation from back then. So it was 45 cents to get the paper. I am dating myself, right? 45 cents to get the paper. And I said, on Wednesday, there is $1.50 worth of coupons. So basically the paper is free. And I always won the contest.
Well, I love that even from back then doing the paper route, you were financial planning. You're like, okay, I'm going to have these summers off, so I better start saving. You had sales tactics. So I feel that your first job, you still carry with you till this day. How amazing is that?
Yeah, it is really cool. It taught me a lot. Having that. And it was like working for myself. So, you wonder about what takes place in your lifetime that influences you throughout your lifetime.
Well, and that you go back to those skills that you learn at such a young age. And that's why starting entrepreneurship and that mindset, I feel, is so important starting at a young age. I don't think anyone's ever too young to start their own business,
I agree.
So I think the sooner you start thinking about it and implementing it, and then the people in this room that are working together and Innovation Collective as a team all coming together, it really does make a difference. But I love the paper route that you were saving and doing that, and then now you do financial I mean, it's amazing. It's all connected.
Yes, it is.
So talking about job and what you've done, what would you consider your biggest success in your professional life?
Well, I'm going to tell you a story about a guy named Big Lou. And
This is going to be good, Big Lou.
yeah,
I
Big
like
Lou.
it.
And so Big Lou came to me probably in 1995. He changed companies, and he rolled over his 401k at that time, and we invested it. And every year he came in for a review. We would go over his investments, went over his 401k plan. So he came in, I guess about 2 or 3 years later, and we're talking, and I said, well, how's your 401k plan going? And he said, well, I've got it all in the company stock. I said, really? I said, maybe you think we should diversify that. And he goes, do you think? And I go, yeah, I think we should. So he goes, okay. So we diversified the account. And about 2 weeks later, he calls me. And he says, Kenny, people think I'm crazy for getting out of our company stock. Well, fast forward this 10, 12 years after that, Big Lou came in for his we call it annual strategic planning meeting now, no more review. So he came in for his annual strategic planning meeting, and I call them feedback questions. I said, well, Big Lou, what's the one thing that we do that you really like? And he looked at me and he said, Kenny, you saved my retirement. Big Lou worked for Enron.
Oh, man.
So, as y'all know the story behind Enron stock went to zero. And he told me about several of his buddies that did not get to retire. So, when I think about that and the impact I'm so blessed to have to work to help people like that.
I mean, that is an amazing story. You changed the course of his entire life. And I think that is something powerful behind what you do that maybe people don't realize how valuable an asset it is to have a company like yours. You try to do what's best for the client always, and in situations like that, it changes the entire course trajectory of their life. So that's really impactful.
I'm very fortunate. And just, not that I'm so smart, it was doing what I was trained to do is really what helped me.
And so, talking about your professional life, when you were starting out, what did that look like? Because I know you kind of told me your backstory, and I find it so inspiring. So, if you would please share a little bit with the audience.
So, it's kind of like my paper route story. So, when I came to Victoria 27 years ago, at that time, nobody really knew who Edward Jones was. And so, I went door to door introducing myself in the neighborhoods. I used to take Therese for a ride in the neighborhoods, and I could tell you where everybody lived, right? So-and-so lives there, so-and-so lives there. And it really, I think people didn't really, why was somebody offering securities going door to door? But it was my ability to get to know them at their doorstep. And lots of times we have client events, people say, oh yeah, he knocked on my door. Yeah, I watched him walk down the street a couple times before I let him come in the house.
You're that guy. Okay, yeah, I've heard of you.
Yeah, but it was very helpful, and I used to have I used to put nickels on my business card, and I would give the card to the people at the door, and I'd say, "This is my business card." They said, "There's a nickel on it. What is it?" I said, "I'm helping you with your money." Right, and so that's how I really started the practice here in Victoria. And of course, it has evolved so much.
Well, and you took your skills from your paper route, and then, like you said, where life leads you, you never know. But starting young at something, taking that, and now here you are. And I also like what you told me earlier today about the history of Edward Jones and kind of why it came about. Could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the history of Edward Jones is that the founder, Ted Jones, or the son of the founder, Ted Jones, really wanted to bring investments to smaller communities. He was a farmer, he lived in the country, and he just wanted to bring investments to smaller communities. So he started opening up offices all around, started in Missouri, and opening offices in smaller communities. So when I came to Victoria 27 years ago, we had 2 offices. Today we have 13. So we've grown, but offering, working with people in smaller communities, small business owners, and most of the folks that started with when I did also, and even today, they're entrepreneurs and creators themselves. So it's very interesting. The business model is very interesting.
So you're talking about working with small businesses and entrepreneurs. Can you tell us a little bit about what services your company does offer? So for those of the people who may not know.
Well, today it looks a lot different than what it did 27 years ago. We're holistic planners. We work with state attorneys, accountants. I've got a CEPA designation, which is a certified exit planning advisor. So when a small business gets ready to transition or sell their business, lots of times they don't know what to do or how to do it.
So many times, you're right.
Yeah, And so what we can do is we can come in and kind of guide them through that process. It's not really about selling your business. It's really getting it ready to sell. That may be a 3 or 4 year event, putting a good leadership team in place, making sure that the owner is not the most important person at the company. So that company is worth more to other folks. And it's 70% of the businesses are owned by people that are baby boomers. So there's a big transition that's going to take place over the next 10 years. Also, that allows people that are in business, entrepreneurs, to maybe buy their competitor, or maybe it's a strategic alliance. So there's a huge opportunity in what's going to take place in our communities and communities all over the United States.
Well, and I do see that a lot of people who are at the point their kids don't really want to take over their business. They don't really know what it looks like to sell it because they just built it thinking maybe their kids would take it one day, or they can't believe they made it this far. So now they're like, what do I even do?
Yep.
And I think it is a lot of opportunity for people in our community to buy those businesses and keep them here so they don't close their doors.
Absolutely.
And I think that I like the point that you brought up a lot, where you have to start planning ahead of time. It can't be like, I'm ready to sell, let's go. It's something, as a business owner, you should start thinking about years in advance if you can, because that's really important when you go to sell it for the value that you're going to sell your business for.
I think that the question was, my geologist friend, they talked about, we want to grow. And I think that's a decision that small business owners need to make every year. Are we growing? Are we selling? If we're growing, okay, here's what we need to do to take our business, so put it in a better position.
I couldn't agree more, and those are important points that everybody should be thinking about when you do own a business, or if you have family members that own a business, go back and tell them what you just learned. So talking about your professional life, let's talk a little bit about your personal life. What is your greatest achievement that you consider in your personal life?
Well, I was the first generation in my family to get a degree. And so all 4 of my children have degrees.
Woo.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I am very proud of them. They're very hard workers. So Christy, KJ, Kenneth, he goes by Kenneth, KJ, and my daughter-in-law, Ashley, are all financial advisors at Edward Jones, all here in this community.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then my daughter Christy is in Seguin, and my son-in-law. So I'm very, very proud of them. We just lost my mother-in-law this past year. And so Teresa and I were sitting just before Christmas during the holidays, and I was looking at all the stockings that she had hung up, and I counted them. There were 17. I said, French, it was just you and your mom, and now we got 17 stockings. That is really cool, and I was very proud of that. So
That is, and it's really amazing legacy, and I've heard a lot about her, amazing woman, and to see how it's carrying on through each one of you is really beautiful. And so talking about your life, personal and professional, what is something that you tried to do that maybe didn't work out? Because you've done so many inspiring and notable things. What is something that you tried that maybe didn't work out for you?
I tried to own some rent property. I was going to be the entrepreneur in the rental business. So I bought a duplex in Eastland, Texas, and owned it for 15 years. I sold it for the same price I bought it. I don't know how many times I painted that damn thing, and how many refrigerators I had to buy that people took from me. And it was just a horrible experience. When I was telling Teresa that I was going to talk about it, she goes, "Oh yeah, that was a really good venture you had there." But that was probably, I failed pretty bad at that. You know what's interesting to me, though? I was thinking, I heard this the other day that the owner, does anybody know who the CEO of Spanx is? What's her name? Yeah, Sarah said that every week her father would ask her, what didn't go so well this week? What did you fail at? And she said that that was really important because, what's failure, right? As she started that company and became very successful. And I think we don't do enough of that. And I think I'm glad that you asked that question to think, and it gives me gratitude for the opportunities that I've got.
Well, and I think too, it's for people that see you and you've been successful and you're just this amazing entrepreneur doing awesome things all the time. So I think it is important too to say, hey, not everything works out all the time. I'm not the rental king, and I'm okay with that. I tried it, didn't quite work out. So I do think, and I did hear her say that, and I was really inspired by that, especially being a mom with my children, thinking it's always, well, what are you doing right all the time? I need to be like, you know what kind of wasn't great today? What do you feel didn't maybe go good?
Yeah.
Because I think that too takes off the pressure for them to realize nothing's perfect, and then I can share what didn't go good for me, So I think that is such an important point to start talking to your children or your friends or your spouse about maybe what isn't going so good, and be like, oh yeah, that's happened to me before too.
I get lots of feedback about how things aren't going well.
But that's why you're successful. You have a sounding board that keeps you going.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So I'm curious, how do you define success?
I think you go through different stages of your career and it looks different. So for me, early on, it was all about motivation. I wanted to make sure that my family was financially secure. So I was motivated to work hard, to do the work that gave us that financial security. I would say today it's different. Because, when you're motivated, you kind of, you have not a deadline, but an achievement, right? And then what's next? Okay, I hit that milestone. What's next? What's next? I'm really trying to work more on inspiration because that's ongoing, making an impact on others. So I think more today about what motivates me is inspirational and not motivation. It took me a long time to figure that out, and I'm not sure I got it quite figured out. But you think about that. A lot of you are very successful, and you hit that goal, right? Then what? Then you hit the next goal. Then what? So kind of think of it more of inspirational, where I'm going, what the impact I'm going to be. I'd be willing to bet if a lot of you in this room sat down and thought about how many people that you have impacted in their lives, you might come to tears with that. And that's kind of that gratitude piece.
And I couldn't agree more with that. It's to me, inspiring people and giving back and having people smile when they think about your name, because you see them, you hear them, and you value them. And I appreciate you so much in this community and your amazing wife, because I see you two do that all the time. I see you really take the time to listen to people, to motivate them and inspire them, and I see you give back so much. So you are doing what you define success as, and thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So if I had somebody that came to you and they wanted advice on how to be successful, what would you tell them?
I think it's about leadership. People are looking for leadership. We got a whole lot of managers, but we need more leaders. And I mean leaders in our community, in our government, our schools. We need leaders. And I had a coach that I worked with. He gave me what he thought the characteristics of leadership. And I want to share those with you. He said, number one characteristic is really to have gratitude, to be grateful, look backwards. The second is to have vision, right? An alignable vision. I'm going to tell another story. So John Kennedy, when he was trying to sell the space travel back in the 60s, they were all set up at Langley. And so what he would do is he would invite congressmen and senators down to tour the facility. And so a group of congressmen and senators were touring the facility, and they just noticed how clean the place was. So one of the senators said to the janitor, "Man, you keep this place really nice." He goes, "Senator, I'm not cleaning, I'm putting people on the moon." So think about that alignable vision. That everyone in that space program was aligned to putting people on the moon. That's what good leaders do. You have a vision, and then you get everybody on board. And that builds a strong culture in your company. The third thing is status quo. You know, as I think about 27 years ago when I knocked on doors and how we run our business today, if you didn't come along with the technology, the training, you got left behind. So you always got to be challenged. I mean, we're moving at the speed that we're moving at. You got to be willing to change. And the last is really developing others. You know, Warren Buffett would say, if he walked into this room, he'd say, "How many leaders are in this room?" All of y'all. We talk about in our business, we talk about not delegate, but elevate. We want to elevate people. So, and I think that success, people want to work with leaders. They want to work with them. They want to be around them. And I think that being successful means being a good leader and attracting good leaders, good decision makers at your company. No managers, leaders, and decision makers.
And I will let you guys know this is recorded because I know you're all thinking, I did not write that down. I want to remember what he just said. That was so many nuggets of knowledge and so inspiring. And what you said is correct. It's having that leadership, having everyone align with a vision and work towards a common goal is so important. And all the steps that you listed, that is what we need. We need to be inspiring each other, and we need to have self-awareness and self-growth. And you're a great leader. You have great culture at your company. And one of the things that I admire about you so much is that you have a huge growth mindset, and you're continuously seeking out knowledge and learning from people and groups and really taking the time and making the effort to do that, not so much for yourself, but for your company and the people that work there, so you can bring all this back just like you shared with all of us. So thank you, because that is what a true leader is somebody who goes and gets the knowledge, learns about things to make things better for everyone else. And I really admire that quality, because that isn't a common quality. I wish it was more common, but that is something that all leaders should have, is they want to grow so that they can continue to be better. Because I always say, the moment I think I know everything, I realize I know nothing, because I continuously need to be growing and learning and helping others and inspiring. And I see you doing that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's what, when I look for someone to join our team, that's what I look for, is a growth mindset. You know, of course, you got to have a growth mindset to work with us, right? Because I do come up with some crazy ideas.
Obviously, they're working, so.
We have a joke around the office, "This shall pass."
So if you were graduating college today, where would you focus your time?
I think that what I would try to do, I think that the generation that is graduating today, they're not carrot and stick people. You know, that they are really they want to work, they want to be inspired. They want to work for a company that's inspirational. And I'd be in meetings like this. I would try to find what company is, as you hear people talk and say, I want to work for that company. You know, I worked in the oil business, and that's what drove me crazy about the business. Man, when it was going good, we were we were doing a lot of work. And then the next thing we're, 2-3 years later, we're sitting not down, we can't even drive our trucks around because we're afraid of spending money.
It's a roller coaster for sure. It is.
Yeah. And so that when you're working in an industry that's growing, for someone that's coming out of college, that's what I'd be suggesting to them. Look for a growing industry. Look for leaders that have a growth mindset, that appreciate people. And I think that's what that they're going to teach us how to manage companies, how to be leaders. This generation that's coming, they're going to do a good job of teaching us.
Well, I feel what I've noticed is most important to them is culture. Like you were touching on, is that it's their environment they're in every day. They don't want to be in a company where they're miserable and they don't feel seen, heard, or valued. And so I think a lot of people might look at the younger generation and think, oh, they're lazy, they just don't want to work. But a lot of it is they want to work smarter and not harder. And they want to be around people that they like to be around. And I think that that's just a big shift, because used to you got a job and you worked that job till the day you retired or died. And you were loyal no matter what. And so I think that it's really changing, where people are saying, I really want to do something for a company where I'm valued and I have the culture of people who I actually enjoy being around. And so that is a lot when people are building companies now and when they have these businesses. I'm like, without your employees, this isn't going to go. So you have to treat them well and have good culture.
And Chris, I think that's how you attract talent. By creating that type of environment. And as small business owners, you want to, what does Peter Drucker say? Culture trumps strategy. It eats at lunch. So having the right culture will help you attract really good talent.
I mean, I can say the word Google. My daughter, when we drove by in Austin, she's like, hold on, Mom, slow down. And I was like, what is she doing? She's taking a picture of the Google office. She's like, oh, man, I'm going to work there one day. Have you seen their cafeteria and the slide and these nap pods? So, they've created a culture big enough to where my 11-year-old is like making me slow down so she can take a picture of the building with Google on it. So it goes a long way just having that culture. And so then I'd like to know, what is the best advice you've ever gotten and why? Because I know you learn from some of the top people and you are just always having that growth mindset. So this is a question I'm really curious about.
So I've had the pleasure to meet with two people that I think about that have impacted me. Number one is Dan Sullivan, who is the founder of Strategic Coach. I used to kid him all the time. I'd say, Dan, I'm one of your best clients. He said, why? I go, I'm a slow learner with a big checkbook, right? He would laugh about that, but I've been going back, and to me, he understands creators and entrepreneurs and what we go through. One of the best books I've read is called The Gain and the Gap. It was written by Ben Hardy, co-written by Dan Sullivan. And it really talks about how, Bill and Elle, I know that you can relate to this, that, you think about, I didn't get this done today. I needed to get all of this work done today. But do you realize how much success you had the week before? So when you think about the work that you didn't do, it puts you at the gap. But if you think about all the things that you've done the prior weeks that have generated revenue and helped your company, so then you're in the game. And so we have a tendency as creators and entrepreneurs to stay in the gap because we don't get it all done.
Very much so.
Right? And so we got to be more grateful for what we've done. And Dan Sullivan, to me, really understands the mind of an entrepreneur and a creator. And the other person I'm fascinated by, and this is more about leadership, is I actually had the opportunity to have dinner with Lou Holtz at Augusta National Golf Course.
Lucky.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about that. So I never get in the gap after I think about that. But the thing that Lou Holtz said was he was a master motivator. And he would always tell his team, okay, The freshmen, they're coming back as sophomores. You got to be better. Sophomores, you're coming back as juniors. You got to be better. Juniors, you're coming back as seniors. You got to be leaders. And he was always good about motivating his team to develop themselves and get better. So that was a hard choice between the two of them.
Well, I'm glad you told us about both. And I'll tell you that about the gap thing that you mentioned. It's so important because with working with entrepreneurs every day and being an entrepreneur myself and growing up in a family that was as well, we're really good at saying negative things and telling ourselves these stories that are totally not true. We can tell a million reasons why we're failing, we're not doing good, but it's those wins. So I always have a trick that I do is I actually write down my wins, and then at the end of the week, I read them. And even for Innovation Collective, we have a section now, and it says wins. And it's really cool to share our wins with each other, because I think focusing on the negative, what you focus on grows. So focusing on something, and it may not even be something big, but if you won at it, write it down. And at the end of the week, look at all of your wins. And it's amazing. When you wake up in the morning, we obviously are like, oh, we got all this to do. But instead, if you woke up and you shift your mindset from the beginning of the day and you start thinking, you know what? I'm lucky because I get to do all this stuff. And I may not like that, but I do kind of like this over here. And just start switching your mindset, getting away from that gap mindset. And so it's so important that you pointed that out, because especially for all of us, but in entrepreneurship, that is one of the biggest hurdles that I see every single time. I'm starting a new business and my family and friends aren't supporting me. I'm like, oh, that's normal. Like it is? I'm like, oh, yeah.
Oh, I just had my best year ever, but I didn't get that one client.
And you're focusing on the negative.
Right?
We've all heard this, right? So.
Right. And you know, I agree with you. So I write down, I have a journal that I keep. And I don't write it every day, but I begin my day with what am I grateful for? And then I write my 3 wins from yesterday. And I write them down, and it keeps me motivated. It keeps me grounded. Miss French will tell you that I need some of that. And it just keeps you humble and also wanting to get better also.
Well, and I hope you wrote the Fireside chat down after this as a win for the week, right? Yes.
Yeah, I'll write that tomorrow.
All right. So who is the most innovative person that you've ever met, and why do you find them inspiring and innovative?
Well, it was Dan Sullivan.
So he is the one that is the most innovative. Yep.
Yeah, he is. He's amazing. I think Dan is 75 years old.
Wow.
And he tells us that he's going to live to be 130. Just think about what kind of change. I've got a 50-year runway instead of a 25 runway, and how he goes about life. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, he has that mindset. He's like, nah, I got a long time. Don't worry
Absolutely.
about it.
But I have to take care of myself to get there, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, take care of your health, but we've also got to take care of our mind. That's what, people might invest a lot into working out or their health, but they don't invest in their mind. And that is what I like about Innovation Collective. And, we do have university and college here and all the things, so we can invest in ourselves. And our mind is part of that. Having that growth mindset, surrounding yourself with people who are cheering you on and lifting you up, that's also important. And I think that is how you have longevity, is you don't just give up. We all have hard days. We all have things, failures, rental properties, may not be for you. But we just keep going, and we keep having that growth mindset. And so you mentioned a book earlier. What are a couple of your books that you really would recommend that you think would be valuable for people to know about?
So that is one thing that I would encourage people to do, is to read. I'm an avid reader. I'm reading all the time. So probably the Gain and the Gap is a book that I would, by Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy. I read, because I'm fascinated with leadership, I read a book. It's called The $1 Trillion Coach, and it's a story, a book about Bill Campbell, who was a football coach that moved to moved to Silicon Valley, And he coached Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. There's several of those folks that he's coached. And if you ever been around software engineers, oh my gosh, they are just so hard to coach. And well, engineers in general, right? I'm picking on y'all. I love them as clients because they always point out everything to me. But it really is. And so that was probably one of my favorite books. And then a book that I read, it's called The Nudge. It is written by, his last name is Thaler. He's an economist. And he won a Nobel Prize in economics on behaviors of consumers and how they act and how we make things so difficult. Anybody tried to sign it? Probably nobody in this room, but sign up for Medicare? I mean, it's crazy. I got a book that's 100 pages on Medicare. I read 20 of it and I threw it away. And it's just so hard. But we give so many choices and we don't make it simple. And so that book is about making things simple and nudging people to make decisions.
So I will have all these books posted too so that you guys can look up those because those all sound fantastic. And then, so I'm curious for the future of Victoria, where do you really think we need to focus on to make it successful and to continue and grow in the right direction?
You know, this is when Bill Blanchard told me about the IOC and what it was all about, I think this is the right move for us. You know, there's so many, we talk about it in our meetings, there's so many entrepreneurs out there, creators. I met one tonight that I see her at the gym all the time, and she told me what she does, and I said, me and my wife were just talking about hiring somebody like you to help us, right? So we just don't know what we don't know. And I think if we would harness all that energy in our city and retain talent, I'm so glad that we're partnering with a college because I think we've got a lot of talent at the college, both Victoria College and UHV, that we can bring that talent into our community and really make our community better and provide opportunity for the people of Victoria and also the associates that may be joining our teams.
And you know, you're right. We do have so much talent in the city and at the college and the university, and retaining talent is so important. And you know, yes, we have Austin, Houston, San Antonio, Corpus, and we're in the middle. And instead of thinking about going out, let's bring people in. Let's keep the people here. Our city has been amazing at really being open to events and things going on. And then we've had so many creative people bringing cool things, and then innovative people, as well as all of these entrepreneurs. So it's really becoming this hub for creation and amazing things to go on. And our city is so unique in the fact that people are super friendly here, but they're also really helpful. And if you tell them about something, I know someone. And that's what's great about Innovation Collective is we give people that space to do so. But our city is amazing in the fact that my kids can still play outside. You know, I have a community where I go to the grocery store and people run into me and I get to have a conversation. And I love that because in an age where we're so full of technology, where people stare down at their phone, I feel human connection is more important than ever. So you are spot on with retaining talent and with innovation starting here. It is really important. And so now is the Q&A portion of this. So whoever has a question, please raise your hand. Introduce yourself and ask your question. I saw that hand go up real quick, so it must be a good one.
No, I got a good one. I hope, maybe. So I'm Kate Garcia. I'm the Main Street Manager of City of Victoria. So I heard in your discussion or your interview that you learned to appreciate people. And I was curious where you picked that up. Did you pick it up from someone who taught it to you? Was it innate? Where did you get that appreciation for people? Because I really respect that about your whole everything, is that it starts with an appreciation of people. So where did you pick that up?
I think that I really got helped in some coaching that I do with Strategic Coach. We always focus on, we begin each session with being appreciative and gratitude. Again, when I'm around leaders that I follow and want to work with or even work for, they've all got gratitude. And I think that when you have gratitude, people want to be around you. And you appreciate them for what they do. And I think that's, again, how you attract talent. So that was something that I learned, trust me. And it's really helped to keep me, I think it keeps you humble when you are, and you appreciate things. And it helps you stay out of the gap.
Very much so. Next question.
Hi, I'm Woodrow Wagner. I'm with UHV. You talked a little bit about your father and the impact he had on your work ethic. And now you have the privilege of having your own children work with you, which I think is awesome. I had a kind of a cool part in this a little bit. I got to teach your son, and I remember that very distinctly, and some really fantastic characteristics, which I'm sure have come to fruition now. When you think about your own legacy now as a father, what do you want that to be, specifically these children of yours who are working with you, both professionally and personally? What do you want that legacy to be?
Well, Woodrow and I go to the same church, so he knows. So on Sunday morning, all the kids, this is when they were pretty young, we're driving back from church, and I'd say, well, so what are y'all going to do today? And they said, oh, Dad, we got this and this. I go, no. It's character building day. Character building starts with everybody mowing grass, everybody weed eating. Well, KJ had to do more of the weed eating than the girls did. But, I don't know what I'm just very proud of them. That's really my legacy, is the success that they've had. So I'm just very, very proud of my family.
I love the character building day. My children are about to get some character building days. I love it. Using that elevated language right there. Wonderful.
I got to tell you a story about that. I'll be really brief, but it was a Friday afternoon. KJ and I were driving. We were driving by the golf course, country club, and headed home. He said, Dad, if it's the last dollar I have, I'm going to get somebody to mow my grass. So on Saturday mornings, he brings his kids over so we can watch him so he can mow his grass.
Legacy. Another question?
So my name is Lisa. I'm a small business owner. It's called So Be It. I do alterations and seamstressing and fashion design, all that fun stuff. But you have a very strong leadership quality within yourself. Do you offer mentorship programs or anything like that?
It's funny that you ask about that, because in our meeting today, we talked about mentorship and how we were going to partner with the University of Houston and Victoria and having some of our success team members partner in this. And yes, I would love to do that. And I think that's part of where we're going with IOC is to help small business owner and mentor them.
Okay.
I don't know what that looks like, by the way.
No, obviously it's in the, talking phase, which is fine. Or do you guys at least have a goal in terms of like what age brackets you may focus on? There's going to be a teen center opening up, like maybe you guys can have different tiers in terms of age brackets?
That's a Carissa question.
Yes, so it's going to be open to all ages, and it will match the mentors with whoever the mentee is. So it just depends on what they're needing, and then we'll match them according to kind of what you're looking for.
No, that's awesome.
And we're starting that membership program that we're starting,
Yes.
and being part of that membership program allows you to be involved Am I speaking too
Yes.
soon about
no,
that?
No, it's fine. We are starting a membership program, and it's going to allow you to be involved at different levels. The fireside chats, the coffee and concepts, a newsletter, being part of our online groups, that's always going to be free. And then above that, we will have our different pathways that we have, such as book club, IC Studio, and our grade 8, as well as a few others. And then the mentor programs and different things. We also have an app coming out that we're going to be basically launching it in Victoria. How cool is that? This app is groundbreaking, guys, and when I can give you the details on it, I will. But it is really going to change the future for entrepreneurs around the world.
So I go to Chicago once a quarter, and it's really for coaching, entrepreneur coaching. And I'm hoping that I don't have to get on that plane after a year from now, because I will get that kind of coaching and leadership in this community.
Oh, I'll make sure of it.
And for us to provide that to our small business owners in the community.
I didn't mean to make you, divulge some of your secrets.
No, it's okay.
It was motivating, and I just was curious to see if maybe you guys had something in the works.
No, I'm happy to share it with you. And like UHV, we love to do things with them. They also have an amazing program called Bridge to Brilliance. You should definitely talk more to Woodrow about that. It's really an awesome program. So I love that we have multiple programs in our city, and that Innovation Collective gets to work with the college and the university on things as well. So it's just more to offer for our community to make sure we can lift each other up and really all be successful and follow out our dreams and make the community better at the same time.
Thank you.
Yes, another
Thank you for that question.
All great questions.
Terry Moten, and Kenny and I had come from way back in the day, a financial planning background. But how do you, and especially probably the kids as well in the business, how do you walk that line of, where you have that face-to-face touch, but in a very technologically advanced world with robo-advisors and all that type of thing, kind of how do you weave that technology in your practice when you may be working with everything from Gen Y, millennials, maybe some even Gen Z, to baby boomers and beyond?
Man, Terry, I knew you would come up with a really good question. It's something that we're struggling with at our company. Of how do we serve your daughter and not alienate her so that she says, "Oh, I didn't have enough money to work with you." So when she does have enough money to work with us, she doesn't come back, right? And so we are struggling with that. How do we offer advice and guidance to a generation? And we're in the revenue business. How do we pay for that? And if we could figure that out, if we could figure that entrepreneur system out, we would really be something that could offer a lot of companies, because trust me, the companies are having a hard time figuring that out.
So everybody start working on that now, is what I'm hearing.
Hi, I'm Joe. Hey, I was just on a follow-up to what you were just answering. I was wondering, is there any room for interns possibly, like fresh out of high school or something, to help on, obviously economically you cannot expend a ton of time. If your time's worth $200 an hour or whatever, and you're making nothing on all this time, you should be servicing other people, it's a no-win situation for everyone. There's frustration and everything else. However, there's a lot of people that are like exiting high school or getting ready to, that maybe could benefit from some of this experience, take some economic classes, whatever, and just kind of brush the waters, like a lightweight thing. Not big money into it, but also expenditures would be low. Any opportunities for that maybe? Because I know a lot of high school people have no idea what they want to do when they get to college, and then they face college, and so many people flip degrees 10 times, end up $100,000 worth of debt, and it would be wonderful to give them some real-world experience before they get into all that.
So yes, I mean, I know with the Bridge to Brilliance program, there's internship stuff that's going to be worked on. So Woodrow shaking his head yes. And I know that there's a lot of people with Innovation Collective that I've met that own companies, and I've been talking to them also about that, of offering opportunities to students or whoever it may be so they can dip their toes in the pool per se and kind of see if they like it. Because even when someone's starting a business or they have an idea, I always say, have you actually ever worked in this business? You know, because I think that it's important. There's a lot of moving parts that go into things and how well you know something, because it can be a lot different if you do something, but then you don't know the other sides that go along with that. So I agree with you. It's so important, an internship, and I know there are a lot of companies here open to that, and we will start matching people with things like that, and I know that is important too. We want to have college students, high school students having good jobs here. And we want to have everybody having good jobs and doing well. And a lot of it starts from, like you said, people don't really know what they want to do a lot of times. Sometimes they do need some direction or they need to try things out. So I know a lot of companies are very open to that, Joe. So connecting with them and getting our app going is really going to help connect a lot of people. And also with the university doing their program and us working with the university in school as well.
That's what I think, Joe, too, is that I've been impressed with how we've been able to work with the university and how open the university is to working with us. And I think that that's where we're really going to do some really good for our community, but also to help a lot of people with people that are looking for careers. So we're more to come on that. We're working on that.
I mean, people who've come to my Coffee and Concepts and the Fireside Chat, they have gotten jobs now just because they had a conversation with someone and they're like, oh, I own this company. Oh, I've always wanted to do that. I've been interested in that. And they're like, I'm actually looking to hire somebody. So you just never know what will open that right door, but it takes getting out there to meet people, to get connected with people. And that's what's so great is all of this forms those opportunities.
When I started this career, I was 32. But I'm going to live to be 152, so...
And we have time for one more question.
Kenny, thanks for spending all day with us today. Thank your wife for letting you hang out with us all day. It was fun starting at 11, I think. Quick question, selfish question for all of us. Pretend we're all your clients. Where would you recommend us investing right now in the market? Okay? And where do you see things going? And pretend like nobody's taping this. Crystal will cut this out.
He'll send you a bill later.
Yeah. And tell us what you think we should do as your best buddies now from an investment standpoint.
Well, I would begin that conversation with my crystal ball is about as clear as a glass of Coke. Okay? And and anybody that tells you that they know where things are going, you know, the economist has successfully predicted the last, 9 out of 6 recessions, right? So I'm not really a forecaster. I'm more of a planner. I'm not in the forecasting business because I don't know where that's going. But what I think good financial advice and guidance can do is give you a plan. So it doesn't matter if the market's up, if the market's down, it doesn't matter. You have a plan to go through that. And so I'm not an economist. Me and my son joke about economists. They're like weather people, right? They give the forecast. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, but they still get paid. So that's what I would say, Bill.
Really good advice. So having a plan is so important for people because they really do need to think about their future and what that looks like, and having that security is important, and you do help them build that and to have a plan for their future, and even when they exit their business, if that's what they're doing.
You know, with small business owners, the first thing they should do is de-risk themselves, right? Do they have their state work done? Do they have their wills done? Do they have a buy-sell agreement? Do they have a top employee that have went to the competition? What would that do to their business? See, they don't think about those things. They just put their heads down and they're doing their work every day. So anyways.
That needs to be the first things they think about. But
Yeah,
like you said, people
de-risk.
don't know what they don't know. So you saying this and you all go out and tell people, hey, you own a bit, you should have actually done this. Start thinking about this now. Or if someone wants to start a business, pass this knowledge on. And then I think we actually have another question.
All right, thank you. Well, first of all, it wasn't so much a question as an affirmation of a couple of things that you're saying. And one is that the university is, really standing ready to not only get involved as we have been, but how can we even elevate and optimize? And you can see I'm an engineer, one of the ones you don't. But anyway, we want to try to get the best out of this from what our standpoint. Really looking forward when the students are coming back and getting some specific activities going on with the campus, with the students, and getting them involved. The other thing I wanted to make sure I want to encourage and challenge everybody, and hopefully you can join me in this, is that we need to take deliberate, specific steps in patronizing each other's businesses around here. I mean, there are people.
Yes.
Because they're just in the midst of the conversations we're having out there, we find out people that do this with with clothing and dressing. A guy here who does houses. He power washes houses. Just found out we needed that. And other things are out here, that we're hearing. But I think if we deliberately, you may or may not actually need it, but just deliberately, patronize each other's businesses to create that atmosphere that this is a place where the community supports each other and in their endeavors. I think that will help, and it will draw people and draw things and keep that spirit and that environment going. That's the thing I just wanted to encourage, while also saying that the university is standing ready to do what we do to make things better.
We appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Chance Glenn. It's an amazing asset to our community and really for UHV. And, I can't agree more with what he says. I really try to shop local every single chance I can because I like to have things in Victoria. I like to have places to go. I like to show entrepreneurs if you create something, it will be supported. So I sometimes look at my phone, shop online. I'm like, nope, I'm going to see if anyone else has that here first. And even if I have to drive across town, I think I can deal with that, right? A whole extra 10 minutes. So I really try to shop local and support local because having businesses here thrive makes it better for everybody. When we're all doing well, then we're happier. I don't know about you guys, but I want to live in a community where everybody's just happy and everybody is doing well and we're all lifting each other up. And I really, really appreciate you saying that because it is so important. Because I know sometimes businesses can come into town and people are like, oh, why did that close? I really like that. But then they never went and they never supported it. So you have to get out there and support, fellow entrepreneurs in the community. It's so important. And so right now I want to give a big round of applause to Kenny French. I appreciate you being up here, being vulnerable, telling us about everything in between from your rental failures to your successes and what motivates you. And so do not ask him to buy a rental property. I guess that's what I've heard in this. It's not his thing, yeah. But thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. And he does so much for our community. And like he said, he's willing to mentor. He's a big reason IC is here. And he just champions for our community, for it being better and growing and to helping people who are right here, including all of you in this room. And he took the time to do this tonight, and I'm really thankful. Thank you so much.